Welcome to another live episode of the Short-Term Rental Insiders. Let me make sure we are live. Yep, we are good to go. Cool. Riley, as always, welcome. How are you?
Thanks, man. Doing well. Thanks for joining. Before we jump in, I want to do a quick shout out to my guys at Elon University. They're playing the CAA Men's All Conference Championship tonight. It's going to be huge. These guys are working really hard, so we should all support them. It's on CBS, I believe, tonight, nationally televised game. So everybody tune in and show your support.
That's cool. Yeah, go Elon. I don't even know what they're
Phoenix, come on.
Phoenix,
fly, baby.
All right,
that's right.
So we got a really exciting topic today. The best tools for your short-term rental. I mean, this is a huge topic. We're going to try and crunch it into 15 minutes. You know the drill. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, drop a hashtag live down below. And then if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. So yeah, let's jump right in, man. So the top tools for your short-term rental. We got a little, we wrote a blog article about this a couple months ago. So we're just going to make it a little visual for you. So this is a huge topic. Everybody's talking about it. It is a brand new kind of thing. The whole internet, short-term rental being such a new business. There is a lot of people flooding to the market, and we've broken it down into kind of 5 really high categories of what you definitely need. Property management software, a pricing tool, a direct booking site, some hardware that we're going to get into, and then kind of a team unity of tying all that together. So Riley, you want to go ahead and jump into the property management software?
That's right. That's our first one. That's the top of the list for us because it's really important on the short-term rental side that you have a software that allows you to track and manage all the activities and tasks that you do in your daily management of short-term rental. So to start off, I want to say the internet is a wild and crazy place. We are very fortunate to live in this time to have all the tools that are available to us. It's awesome. On the flip side, there are so many tools out there, so many things, so many softwares, plugins, extensions, so many technologies. What do you use? What's important? And how do you know how to make the right decision for what you need? So we're going to hopefully provide a little bit of value there on the research that we've done extensively in determining what softwares, what tools we use with MyTripify. So the PMS, like I said, right at the top of that list, there's a lot of features that you're looking for specifically in a PMS that are going to, again, facilitate the daily operation of your business. So to start, a channel manager. A channel manager allows you to list your property in different channels or different listing sites like Airbnb and Vrbo, for example, without creating separate listings, updating all of the calendars and the pricings and everything individually, doing it many times over for each property. It simplifies that, allowing you to do the setup once and pushing it to all the relevant channels. This is a very important tool. Even if you have 1 to 3 properties as a small manager, you're going to make tweaks to your pricing, to your listing, and to all these places. And so you run into an issue of version control, doing it all manually, plus you're wasting a good amount of time. So Channel Manager is a really important feature. What you want to look for is an API integration. A lot of the more, I would say, further along in development, PMS tools that are out there use an API integration. And what that is, it's one package basically speaking directly to another and pulling information that it needs. It's a direct integration, and that happens instantly. The main benefit is that happens instantly. A lot of the lower priced and newer and less developed PMS tools out there use what's called an iCal integration. That basically syncs your calendar, and that's your rate ability and your bookings, without doing a lot of the other stuff like your listing and like your pricing sometimes isn't included there as well. So there's a lot more information to communicate back and forth between these different tools. So having the API integration gives you a more complete integration and makes that a little more easier for you. A unified inbox.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
to
Caleb.
touch on that, in our point of view, channel manager API, that's a requirement. Like we've looked at 10 to 15 of these things. That was one requirement that we had to have, because we know the benefit. We know how many times we're tweaking the listing on the back end. It just reduces work on the management team, reduces work as a short-term operator, and it saves you time. So,
Yep. Next, inbox. Obviously, if you're listening on multiple channels, then you have different means of communication with the different channels. So unifying all that in one place is really important. It saves you time in navigating in places, and we've gone through all the savings and efficiency already. What's important also with the unified inbox is when the communication is captured. So a lot of tools will have a unified inbox for your bookings, but another important part of that is pre-booking communication. I mean, you hear hosts who say, I'm never given a discount, so it doesn't matter. I don't need to talk to them beforehand. To us, that's a problem. That's a mismanagement, in my opinion, because you can increase your rates and offer discounts, and you end up in the middle of those 2 points. But anyway, getting the communication into the PMS unified pre-booking is a huge, important factor that you want to look for when picking a software tool.
yeah, and we've seen upwards of, I mean, just to kind of ballpark it, probably 70% of the communication with the guest is done pre-booking. Once they're booked, we set up all the automations, give the guest every info that they need, but majority of it is done before the booking. People are going to have questions. They're going to ask, can I bring dogs? Like, even if it is listed, like, people need that little bit of attention before booking.
Especially right now, the amount of pre-booking communication has significantly increased since the start of the pandemic. People are unsure in their purchase and need additional information, clarification, assurances in order to go ahead with their purchase. So you have to be there in a timely manner to answer their questions, or you're going to lose business. You're going to lose those bookings to other listings.
Yep. And people, whenever they ask questions, they want answers, I would say within 30 minutes max.
Yeah. So next, multi-calendar. That goes a little bit back to the channel manager. That would make sure that your calendar is synced across those different channels. Obviously, if you book a week on VRBO, you need to make sure they don't book that same week on Airbnb, or you're going to have a big problem trying to process some cancellations.
Yep. And then that ties into you get an API integration. Whatever property management software you get an API. Avoid iCal at all costs.
Yeah. So there's some other important features that may or may not be included in the package. You may or may not need them, like accounting and some financial reporting is usually necessary. To what extent is to each his own. Owner portals, so landlords or property owners to be able to come in and see the financial picture of their property. Task management, so you can communicate with cleaners or even handymen or other property managers, and much more. Honestly, there's a ton of good features out there. It's important that you look at your business and see what you need to do in order to operate successfully.
Yeah, a couple of our recommendations right here. Your Porter, Guesty. Your Porter is this one right here, yourporter.com. It's actually the one that we use. Like I mentioned earlier, we demoed about 15 different property management softwares, and this is the best bang for your buck that we found.
Yeah, what else? So let's name a few that we've been out there just to give a couple options. I mean, Hostiva was a big one. Lodgify, I remember. There's Smart B&B. Do you remember a couple other ones that we pulled?
Owner Res, Guesty. Oh man, I need to bring up the list, but there's a lot of them. You do a quick Google search, you're going to find plenty of options out there.
Yep, absolutely. All
so
right.
moving on to the dynamic pricing tool, which is very tightly integrated with your PMS. So Riley, you want to kind of touch on that?
Yeah. So the two go hand in hand, and sometimes you can even find a PMS that includes dynamic pricing. A couple of the providers that we've spoken with said they're trying to get into the space. It does take a certain level of development in order to accurately predict rates based off of the market demand and also based off of the availability that's out there in terms of similar properties in your area of your size. So we recommend go with the companies that specialize in doing this. There's a few big ones out there. Price Labs is one that's big, and also Wheelhouse is a big one, and Beyond Pricing are three really big ones that you hear about a lot. So the value you get there, we recommend spending at least an hour a week pricing your properties. And that makes sure that you're catching up on the demand that's out there and you're not pricing your place for too low and missing opportunity for revenue there. So this tool helps with that. It's not a replacement for that. It helps you to do that research in order to know how many places have already been booked for 3 weeks out, or to know, are people pricing higher during a certain week? Like in Charlotte, we have the Wells Fargo golf tournament. And for here, you need to adjust your pricing accordingly, or else you're going to give a heck of a discount to somebody. So that's one part of a pricing tool that is absolutely necessary. And some of these pricing are at a price point where it makes absolutely no sense not to do it. Price Lab specifically is at a pretty low price point, I think about $20 a month. So some other features that you get, they are around the minimum night stays. How do you handle orphan days? So an orphan day, for example, if you do like 5-night minimum stays and you have 2 of those stays, but you have 2 days in between, we call those orphan days. So some of these software tools are smart enough to know that for those orphan days, we don't want to have a minimum night stay of 5 days because we won't book those 2 days. We'll decrease the minimum night stay so you can have somebody book those 2 days and maximize your occupancy. So there's a ton of tools. We don't have time to get into all those tools, but finding the right settings and making sure that integrates with your property is pivotal to optimizing the listing. I would say that if you're not doing this, then you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, the little investment for these pricing tools, it is absolutely worth it. The ROI is it is definitely worth it. So without, like Riley said, within past the hour of optimizing the pricing and doing all that, you have the ability to set up rules and automations, which is a big part of it. That's not included in that hour that Riley was talking about. So moving on, kind of to point number 3, direct booking site. This ties right hand in hand with the main property management software. This is, in my eyes, it is a requirement for a property management software that you choose. It needs to have a direct booking site. And what that means is there's different channels, like Riley mentioned earlier, channel managers, Airbnb, VRBO, Booking, and then kind of off these platforms, off these OTAs is a direct booking site. What that means is they go directly to your website. They bypass kind of the Airbnb, the platform fees. So the guest can get a better deal if they know where the direct booking site is. There's a lot of marketing that we can get into with that, but the direct booking site is a way to essentially bypass the fees and then capture that guest directly. So there are some downfalls with direct booking sites, like the $1 million policy with Airbnb that is not included if they go through the direct booking site, and some of your other kind of liability things that you need to weigh the pros and cons with.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. So a couple things that I would add here. You're not going to get 100% direct bookings anytime soon. If you're just implementing this takes time in order to rank well in your search engine optimization, your SEO, and it takes time to implement, but get started on this early. Set it up so that you can start working on driving traffic there while you implement the process of receiving direct bookings and accounting for them. That way, once you do start to get traffic there, then you can you'll have the process down and you'll be ready to handle that kind of thing. So you don't necessarily have to incorporate your direct booking site with your PMS. Some of them, like Your Reporter, do offer that as part of the subscription to the software. But you can also create your own website. WordPress, Squarespace, some of the website providers, Wix, allow you to do that. And they have widgets that can handle the short-term rental booking engine that's involved in blocking your calendar on the specific dates. So it's an important feature that takes a lot of time to get into, but the upside is absolutely there. I would say be careful of trying to bring traffic that you got from a OTA like Airbnb or Vrbo and taking it off their platform. That's against your terms of service 9 out of 10 times. Don't do it. They can suspend your account immediately. They can block you or blacklist you from the channel forever. So don't take traffic from the channel and try and get it yourself, or even renew for another term of an Airbnb guest, for example, and then try and renew them or direct them site. Don't do it. Return trips, yes. Don't steal traffic from the OTAs. They will burn you for it.
Yep. And that's a good point. The return trips, make sure you have a marketing strategy in place to, once someone stays at your place, they know the property, they know you as a host, they're comfortable. So whenever they come back to Charlotte, for example, chances are if you've done your homework, you've constantly marketed back to those people, they're going to book with you directly, which saves them a fee. You are rewarded as a host with going directly through the booking site, and that's a return customer. That's the easiest customer to get.
Yep.
Point number 4, connected hardware. This is kind of an advanced level. I would think most hosts probably don't know how to integrate this. Luckily, Riley and myself have kind of a tech background. This just makes sense to us. Having some type of technology to like automate your thermostat. When someone checks out, the air is not pumping all day, every day, which reduces your energy bill. Cameras, noise monitors, which is a big part of, we wrote an article about this with how to prevent parties at your Airbnb. Noise monitors are a big one. That's kind of another level tactic to protect your property or your investor's property. So don't want to dive too much into this. Here's a couple links that we've found that are really good. Smoke monitor, same thing. That's a given.
Yeah, it's a lot of tools here, and each of them have their own types of integration. So a takeaway here is know the capabilities of your PMS. Some of them specifically will integrate to Samsung SmartThings is really a leader in the hub space that will communicate that information to your lock. So for example, codes changing automatically upon guest check-in and check-out seems like a small thing, but once a guest leaves the property, immediately not allowing them back in without your communicating with you is a huge security feature for your home. So other things like those smoke monitors that we mentioned as well. I mean, these are things that can really protect you in terms of liability and risk over the long run. So a lot of different tools and softwares and technologies here to integrate, but think about if you're in a party market, if you're somewhere that you have to offer 1 or 2 night stays just because of the nature of the travelers there, beaches, vacation destinations, it's important that you have some of these things.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't mention was a smart lock. Automating the check-in, check-out process is a big time suck if it's not automated. If you're manually going to the property, changing the codes for the last 4 digits of the guest phone number every single time someone checks in and checks out, it's a manual process that can be automated.
Mm-hmm. And right now, contactless check-in, that is of utmost importance. It's key. It's the gold standard. It's what people expect now. So either get with it or get lost.
And wrapping up, point number 5, team members. That's a really big part that we kind of preach a lot, is having a team to manage everything, and then manage the guest communication, the questions that they would have, the check-in, the check-out, the systems, the processes. It's really kind of a no-brainer here, but it's definitely something that we want to include in this. It's not a online tool or to really manage your short-term rental, but it is an absolute necessity. Cleaners, maintenance people. That's a whole nother topic, but it is vital to have those connects really before anything happens.
Say, any real estate investor, you need to have an accountant, you need to have a lawyer, you need to have a real estate broker. If you're in short-term rentals, you need a cleaner, you absolutely need a handyman, maybe even a GC, depending on the kind of work that you're doing. So right there, 6 very key members of your team that are going to make sure that you're protected and that you're operating successfully. I mean, we as licensed real estate firm, we have a great handle on the laws that we need to follow. But when we have a question of how to handle a situation or need a legal document drafted or an amendment created, we need a lawyer. When we need to do our taxes, we need an accountant. These are things that a lot of times our investors like to be hands-on. We applaud that type A, go get it, drive and mentality, but hire the people that can do this job the best. Focus your time where it will give you the most value doing the work that you're needed for, and hire out the stuff that experts are needed for. So that team, once you get a great team around you, things will run like a well-oiled machine. You'll feel the value that these different trades can offer you and the skills that they have.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. For us, Riley, myself at My Tripify, we have a lot of these already in-house. Like we have those connections. We already have those built. Like that's something that we would take off your plate if we were to work together. So yeah, I mean, that's the 5. Anything else to add, Riley, before we wrap up?
Nothing. I mean, guys, we're here. Interact with us. If you have a PMS that you'd recommend or a question about something that we mentioned, or even if you'd like a recommendation from us, comment on this video, reach out to us directly. We'd love to chat about any of the stuff that's been talked about here. So feel free. I mean, we're here at your disposal. Reach out. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, and just like Riley said, we don't know everything. This is just from our experience. This is to help people that are just starting out, that may have 1 or 2 properties. These are the tips and tricks that we found, that we've kind of struggled through, that now we know, and then now we can kind of teach. So once again, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, if we've maybe missed a property management software that you love, shoot us a message, leave it in the group, leave it in the comments below on YouTube. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And we will chat soon.
Phoenix tonight at 7 o'clock, baby. Here we go, Elon. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.